and welcome to the DC Marvel Battlecast, where we discuss all things DC and Marvel related, review superhero films, and debate who would win in Marvel vs. DC matchups. I'm Johnny DC.
And I'm his twin brother, Marvelous Joe.
The song at the beginning was Way Down We Go by Kaleo from the album A.B. The song is available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, or wherever you buy or stream music. It's also on our Spotify playlist, so make sure to check that out.
Yeah, go ahead and do a search if you're on Spotify for DC Marvel Battlecast, all one word, and you can find the playlist that we have set up there. We have our podcast intro songs all in a playlist, as well as the themes to the various Marvel and DC movies. So,
yeah,
pretty cool.
If you check them out, you get to explore like all the artists and everything they do. You know, support them. It's nice. Be a nice person.
Yeah.
So that song at the beginning was featured in the latest Logan trailer, which came out a little over a week ago. But the trailer also really had a lot of X-23 in there. It was the young girl, Laura Kinney.
Yeah.
And she's in our Battlecast today. We're pitting X-23 versus DC's Cassandra Cain, which some of you may be familiar with her, Cassandra as Batgirl. But she's also gone by the name Black Bat and most recently Orphan. She's part of the Bat family.
Yeah,
so
but it'll be a good fight because they both have kind of similar backstories where they were trained from birth to be lethal assassins.
Yeah.
So it'll be
a really, really interesting fight. A good action-packed fight.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, not only will we be talking about the Logan trailer that just came out, we'll be talking about the Oscar nominations that were released, who was nominated, who wasn't nominated. We'll be talking about the Flash rewrite and
the Black Adam movie,
the Black Adam film, as well as the new director for the Inhumans film. And then we'll wrap up the news section with a note, talking about a note that David Ayer posted to Twitter about Suicide Squad.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
but actually, before we get into the news, though, we introduced a new segment at the beginning of this year in our last episode, which is basically a trivia segment. Just have a little fun where we pose a trivia question and you guys answer and get a no prize if you get a correct answer.
Yeah.
So,
and the no prize winner for our last episode's trivia question is none other than Death by Avid of Instagram. You may know him better as Adam Spees if you listen to our Ant-Man review. So the question he answered was...
Yeah, which actor has played a role in a DC Comics film, a Marvel Comics film, a DC Comics TV series, and a Marvel Comics TV series? And the hint was that this actor has also done work for two animated DC films, Superman Doomsday and Batman the Killing Joke. Yeah. So the answer is... Ray Wise.
Ray Wise, yeah. He was in the Swamp Thing film, the Wes Craven one that was made in, I think it was in the 70s.
Yeah, it was the
later.
80s.
It was the 80s, yeah.
But he played the main scientist. He didn't play Swamp Thing, but he played the scientist that turns into Swamp Thing. And then he did a guest spot in the Swamp Thing television series in the early 90s.
In the early 90s. I remember that show. I remember being afraid of that show.
Really?
Yeah, when I was younger. I didn't realize Swamp Thing was like a comic book character. I thought it was just a television monster.
Yeah.
But he was also in X-Men First Class.
And he played the Secretary of State in that.
Yeah, and he was in Agent Carter Season 1.
Yeah.
So.
And I can't remember his specific role in that, but he was like an executive. I think he was an executive for Roxxon Mobile, I think, or something like that.
So if you didn't get the trivia question right, don't feel bad, because I couldn't figure it out either.
Yeah.
Joseph's the bigger trivia buff, so I tried my hardest to figure it out, and I just couldn't.
You got it when I gave you the hint.
Yeah, I eventually did get it with the hint, but yeah.
So, all right, we got another trivia question this week. Hopefully, it's just as difficult, or not. I don't know. Maybe it's easier. So the question this week is: give the names used by a single character that has existed in both the Marvel and DC universes, who went by a different name in each universe. So this character has two names. It is the same character, written by the same writer that brought the character over from Marvel to DC when he switched companies. We'll give you a hint later on in this episode.
Yeah, so make sure you listen for that.
Yeah. If you have an answer, submit your answer to our Instagram. Go ahead and search for us on Instagram. Just search for DC Marvel Battlecast, one word. You can give us the answer on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @DC Marvel Battle. Or you can email us. Our email address is dcmarvelbattlecast@gmail.com. The answer must include the name the character went by in the Marvel Universe, and the name the character went by in the DC universe.
Right,
So 2 names.
Two names.
So again, we'll give a hint later on in this episode, so listen for that. And so let's get into the news.
All right. Let's start with the Logan trailer.
All right.
So the first Logan trailer was, I think, the best trailer of last year.
Yeah, we gave the award to it for best trailer on the Marvel side of things.
Yeah.
It was really good. Like I kind of questioned at the time, like, is this Logan trailer really that good, or is it mostly the song? Because the song "Hurt" by Johnny Cash, which was on the first trailer, was really good. I think it really set a great tone for what the film looked like it was going to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
This second trailer it's not quite as good, but I liked it.
It's a solid trailer. There are a few things about it I didn't like, but overall, it still makes me pumped to see the film.
Yes. Yeah,
for sure. And they released 2 versions again.
Yeah, there was a red band trailer and a regular trailer. The red band trailer had everything that the normal trailer did, so I'll kind of just go through that. Yeah. I think what made this trailer a little bit inferior to the first one was the music. So I can't say that that Hurt totally made the first trailer so great, but it certainly added a lot. Because while the Way Down We Go song is a great song on its own, I don't like it had a kind of like a groove to it.
I think that's debatable. You know?
Yeah, it had like a groove to it that didn't quite suit what the tone that was set up by the first trailer, basically.
Yeah.
Like this doesn't seem like a grooving film to me. It seems more like an emotional dramatic kind of
an emotional drama, right?
Yeah.
And like from the first trailer, I know I'm gonna weep at this film. This time I didn't get that sense. Like it definitely wasn't as you're right, emotional.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did like the actress who's playing Laura, who's playing X-23.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
She looks like she's doing she's going to do a good job.
Yeah, she looks very similar to her comic book counterpart too. Looks like they got a good actor for that. I like the scene in the beginning when she's stealing everything, and the guy's like, "Hey, come on, quit messing around." So like, and then she just totally, flips him over and almost freaking kills the guy.
And she just screams.
But it was a good beat that was played for laughs when you see Logan stealing the cigars from the store and everything. So he was like, stealing's okay, but not everything else.
Right. Not okay. Were you confused at the beginning? Did you think that the store clerk was
Quicksilver?
Well, no. But I thought he was the... I forget the name of the main bad guy with the cyborg arm.
Donald Pierce?
I get... Yeah. I thought that was Donald Pierce at first. I don't know why. I don't know. Just a blonde guy with a goatee. I don't know.
I thought it was Quicksilver. I thought it was Aaron Taylor Johnson for a second there.
I could see that.
But no, it's not him, obviously. I think it has to do with like the frosted hair at the top or something like that. So anyway, so it goes into, right after that, we see the Fox logo, and then it goes into this interesting concept that we've never seen in the X-Men films before. The idea that the X-Men are comic book characters.
Yeah, that bothered me a lot when I saw that.
Really?
It really took me out of the trailer. It was just like this weird meta thing that was like, why? That I guarantee you that's not necessary for the film. There's no way that like the comic book is going to play any kind of like major role in this film. I would be really surprised if it did.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's the way that she was able to find him or something like that. But yeah, I mean, I guess like you can kind of rationalize that. Like if comic books exist in this universe without superheroes, then you would say, like comic books are not a medium that are exclusive to non-superhero universes. Like you can have comic books in a comic book universe because you can have all forms of media.
True. Yeah.
So, and in a sense, the reason that like if superheroes did exist, that people would be telling more stories about them and kind of not idolizing them, but celebrating them kind of in media and stuff like that. So, but do I want to see it in a film? Not necessarily. It's kind of weird, I think.
It's kind of like a weird hero worship kind of thing. I mean, because like we have heroes I mean, not superheroes in our world, but like we don't like. When's the last time, other than like President Obama in a Marvel comic, that you saw like someone like a celebrity in, featured like the star of a comic,
Yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be fine. I'm not so concerned about it. It was just, it kind of made me do kind of like a mental double take.
It just makes you wonder about so many things. Like, is Logan suing the comic publisher for his likeness?
Does he get royalties?
Right.
Yeah, that's hilarious. So later on, when the Reavers go to get Laura, or X-23 or whatever you want to call her, and she comes out, walking away from the building.
Is she holding a head when that happens? The first time I saw that, and she's walking out, like she has something in her arm, and it's not her backpack. I think it's a severed head.
I don't know. Like you first pointed that out to me. I'm like, oh, obviously it's her backpack. Because she throws down the handcuffs that they try to put on her, and she has a backpack. But no, yeah, you're right. When she's coming out of the building, walking toward them before she pops her claws, she's like cradling something in her arm.
Yeah,
it might be a head. I don't know if they'll go that.
Which is effing rated R. Holy crap.
I do like that little moment though, where she throws her backpack down and starts unleashing her claws. And Donald Pierce is like, no.
Yeah, I guess that was funny. I don't know if it was worth a holy fuck moment that they did in the Red Band, but I wish.
When she freaking gores that guy in the throat, like slices his throat open, I think that's worth a holy fuck moment.
Yeah, true. Yeah. But I wish like they didn't do a slow reveal. I wish it was like a shink. Like do you remember like the feeling you got when you first saw the X-Men movie and he's in the bar and the first time he
it's pretty
retracts
quick.
his claws. It was like, oh, whoa,
Yeah.
I wish it was more like that.
Yeah. I don't know. I think by the time she pops the claws in this trailer, you're not quite sure how dangerous she is. So I think if you know the character, like when he's saying no, like I think it's funnier because it makes a little bit more sense because you know how dangerous she is. You don't really get quite a sense of how dangerous she is until she freaking again gores that guy's throat open with her claws, and then does like the spinning flip and like pretty much kills everybody.
Yeah. I did get a better sense of why they're using cyborgs as the villains.
Yeah, so you could chop them up.
So you could chop off their arms and stuff like that, and not have to worry about too much blood or like excessive blood. I guess violence. I don't know. To a point where there's obviously going to be violence in this film, but seeing a little girl chop people up isn't always that cool to see.
Yeah, that's kind of what makes her such a tragic character, I think. So the rest of the trailer kind of goes through the whole themes of like family a little less subtly than the first trailer, but you get direct quotes from Professor X saying, having family is like a good thing to have. Maybe you should try it out.
Yeah.
So you kind of get the direct motivations of everybody.
And there's clearly like, this dynamic between Logan and X-23, but like where she expects him to be her father, but he's like, he explicitly says like, I'm not who you think I am, which is also an interesting scene because he doesn't have his beard anymore. He has like closer to like a traditional like Logan kind of facial hair thing going on.
Yeah, it looks like he's shaved.
And I don't know if he's shaved or maybe he just gets like blasted in the face like point blank with a shotgun and like the hair just doesn't grow back. I don't know. That made me think about, like in the previous like Wolverine film in Japan where like he gets blasted by a nuclear bomb and his hair grows back to perfection. I don't know. It's like if he shaves his beard now, does his beard just grow back? I don't know.
Oh, that's funny. That's a good point. I think they do a good point of showing like their interactions, like when they're fighting together, and I thought that was. I guess it just looked cool. It looks like they had a good like action dynamic, like father daughter kind of like killing everybody kind of dynamic.
Yeah.
And there was a scene where like he's like on the floor like healing or something. It looks like he was stabbed in the stomach, and like she like holds his hand while he's healing and everything. I thought that was kind of touching in a weird, grotesque kind of way.
Yeah, okay. So one thing I didn't like about this trailer sort of involved like that team up dynamic, I really hate the wire work. It's slow as shit.
Yeah.
It's something I've never really liked about like Wolverine in the X-Men movies is you can totally see when he's like defying gravity on wire, you know?
Leaping off trees and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The scene where he's running through the forest reminds me a lot of X-Men 3 when he's running through that forest killing the not the Marauders. I guess they were Marauders, but they
Morlocks
were joining his Brotherhood.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the Morlocks, not the Marauders. So yeah, it reminds me a lot of that, but yeah, I don't know.
It just kind of takes the realism out of it.
If you ask me how excited I am for this movie, my answer is still really excited. Like, I don't think this movie diminished my excitement for the film in any way.
No.
If anything, it kind of added to it. So I think it was a successful trailer in that regard.
It was absolutely a successful trailer.
Yeah.
It was funny. Kevin Smith, I follow him on Twitter, and he was like, if you ever need proof of God's existence, just look at the beautiful things in this world, like that new Logan trailer. He's like, oh my gosh, that was fantastic.
Yeah, so good. At the end of the Red Band trailer, it ends with a funny Professor X cursing moment.
Where
he's like, we've been traveling for 2 days, had one meal, she's 11, I'm fucking 90.
That was funny.
That was funny. I think it's cool to see like Professor X at an age where he's so old that he just doesn't give a shit anymore. Like you had like this, he was like a proper like professor type, like mentor to young kids for most of his life, and at the end, when he's approaching senility and maybe some Alzheimer's issues or something like that.
Yeah,
he's just at a point where he doesn't give a shit anymore. So he'll cuss. It doesn't matter.
I'm gonna be really sad to see him die. I already know it.
If he dies,
he is.
I'm pretty sure he is. But anyway, all right. So that's it for the Logan trailer. Oscar noms. We had Oscar nominations.
So yeah, and I was super surprised. Just
by what was nominated and by what wasn't.
Yeah. Okay. So I was terrified that Deadpool was going to get a nomination for Best Picture.
Why were you terrified by that?
Because that is bullshit. I mean, it's a good film, and I understand why people are in love with it. But if that can get an Oscar nom, and I don't think it was the Dark Knight caliber. I think if any comic book film ever deserved a Best Picture nomination, it was the Dark Knight. So if it was going to be Deadpool to get it instead, I would have just like started flipping over tables.
Hashtag Oscars so stupid. I was surprised. So the things that I thought were going to get nominated, the movies that I thought were going to get nominated, were Deadpool and Civil War. And they kind of flipped that in that Doctor Strange was the Marvel movie that got the Oscar nomination.
Right.
It was for visual effects, which I think is well deserved because I think it had the most amazing visual effects out of those three movies.
Sure. Yeah.
So I hope it wins. I really like the visual effects in that film. But
the huge surprise is Suicide Squad.
Yeah, what the fuck? How the fuck did that happen? Like, out of all the films, Suicide Squad gets nominated for an Oscar, and it's for hair and makeup. Like,
I think it's Killer Croc.
You think it's like Killer Croc's makeup was like good, but like it was a little weird in some parts, especially when he took all his clothes off, like his jacket and stuff.
Yeah, no, I thought it was still good then.
Really? Like I thought the Joker's makeup was horrendous. Maybe I just didn't like the style. I get maybe the application was good, but I don't know. I just don't agree with this nomination. It's
a weird nomination. The fact that Suicide Squad, which was my least, there were only 2 DC films last year, but it was my least favorite DC film, gets an Oscar nomination, and the Batman v Superman gets second place for the most number of Razzies it's been nominated for. It's just so.
How come Deadpool didn't get a makeup
ridiculous.
Nomination with like Ryan Reynolds, his scarred up face and everything?
Bitch, please.
I thought that was pretty good.
Ryan Reynolds his makeup job couldn't hold a candle to Killer Croc.
I think it could.
When he's like peering through the bars in his cell. That scene.
That was like CGI eyeballs though, so.
Those were real eyeballs.
No, they weren't. Anyway, yeah. So that's surprising. There's not much news there other than
Wouldn't it be hilarious if Suicide Squad won and Doctor Strange didn't? So the only film to win an Oscar would be Suicide Squad?
I don't even want to think about that. That's just weird. So, but we'll see what happens. When do the Oscars take place? Sometime in February, right?
Yeah.
We'll see if I watch them.
I don't know if I will. I didn't see too many movies last year.
Yeah.
Anyway, besides superhero films.
So in other news, looks like The Flash is kind of taking a few steps backward.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So upsetting news. The Flash is getting a page 1 rewrite. Why?
So they lose the director. They lose several directors, actually. They lose 3. They lose Lord and Miller, they lose Seth Grahame-Smith, and they lose
Rick Famuyiwa.
Yeah. And now they're doing a page 1 rewrite. So
with a guy named Joby Harold. I've never seen any of his films. He's only had, I think, one film or written one film that's come out. I mean, he wrote King Arthur, which is coming out soon.
Uh-huh.
But the other film he wrote is Awake. It was like a Jessica Alba movie in the late 2000s.
I heard of that one, yeah.
I didn't see it. But I guess he also directed that. So I'm wondering if they're also seeing if he can direct this one as well. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's upsetting.
Well, it's possible that maybe they were impressed by his King Arthur script, so that's why they tagged him for this.
They do. I mean, he is getting some high profile projects. Not only did he do King Arthur, but he's doing the next Robin Hood film.
There's another Robin Hood film?
Yeah, and that has some pretty big names attached to it, like Taron Egerton and Jamie Dornan, Ben Mendelsohn. Not the biggest names, but still big names.
Okay.
So he's doing something right.
Interesting.
But
it's still a bummer because the movie's supposed to come out next, I think March
next
2018.
July.
July.
Like that. Yeah.
July 2018. Is it still going to make that date? They need to be able to write that script within a month, and that's just a bad idea.
Yeah, really bad idea. I seriously doubt there's any way they're going to make that. And if they do, I'm going to be really terrified because I know it was a rush job.
Yeah.
So I mean, they have casting done. Kiersey Clemons. I guess she makes a cameo in Justice League, so she is definitely Iris West.
Uh-huh.
They just have to write in all these actors and characters that they already have. It's just upsetting because I mean it's just further proof that Warner Brothers doesn't have a plan for these characters really. I mean, why do a page 1 rewrite? Why not just doctor the script that you currently have unless you're completely changing the direction? I don't know.
I heard that Famuyiwa altered the script to suit his own personal tastes, and it really changed things. So then go back to Seth Grahame-Smith's. Yeah, go back
script.
to his. That's what I was just thinking. Why can't you do that?
Or that Lord and Miller had wrote golden treatment.
Well, they typically do, but you never know.
I would be surprised if they.
Do you think the Batman could take over the Flash's spot since that seems to be further along in pre-production?
Yeah, I could totally see that. Yeah.
Coming out in June next year. That would be cool. And then maybe push back the Flash to October or something like that.
Yeah.
I thought don't they have a date then, DC, in October?
I believe they do.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, we don't know what films those dates are attached to. It's all kind of speculation.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, I'd like to see a Flash movie sooner rather than later, considering he's one of DC's top guys. So hopefully they get their fucking act together.
Yeah,
and
that hurts to say. Yeah, I mean, I have all the confidence. I mean, the fact that Warner Brothers owns DC Comics and they should know how to. You think they would have a plan for that property, but no matter how hard they try, it seems like they can't replicate. This cohesive, plotted out shared universe. It doesn't seem plotted at all.
It doesn't seem that hard to do, right? Honestly.
You come up with a storyline.
You come up with your phases.
Right.
Yeah, and then work within those.
Well, not even necessarily even phases, just a general arc, a direction for where these films
that
need
obviously
to go.
ends with Doomsday, right? Or not Doomsday.
They already did Doomsday.
I meant Darkseid.
Darkseid.
Yeah.
Maybe Brainiac, maybe Darkseid. Darkseid is really the ultimate one, the ultimate villain. We'll see. Who knows? And,
All right.
You know, and the same thing could be said for the Shazam film. You know,
Oh, yeah.
How long ago was Dwayne Johnson announced to be playing Black Adam? It was years ago.
Probably like a decade ago almost by now.
So, I mean, of course, they never announced any other announcements regarding that film, like a director or
a Shazam star.
A Shazam star.
Yeah, so the news is that Shazam is going to be 2 movies. It's going to be a Shazam movie with Black Adam, with Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, as Black Adam, as a bad guy. But before that, it sounds like before that, he's going to be getting his own film called Black Adam. The question is, who wants a film based on a single villain?
Well, I mean, so one of the things that DC, you know, we claim to have in our favor is our stronger villains. So, you know, like Suicide Squad, we could have a movie like Suicide Squad. So I think that's the rationale behind giving a villain it's his own title. I mean, you know, we have Gotham City Sirens coming up. That's villains as well. Suicide Squad sequel, possibly. And this, I guess I'm not as
but it's almost putting
surprised.
Okay, so it makes sense because we saw Batman before we saw his Rogues Gallery in Suicide Squad. In this case, we're going to see Black Adam before we ever see Shazam. It's like putting
we don't know if Black Adam is coming before Shazam.
That was my impression. It just seems like, I don't know.
I did get that impression as well.
But like, if you're
just going over the news again,
why would you make a Black Adam movie after a Shazam movie? Why wouldn't you just make a Shazam 2? It seems like they're doing this because they don't have any ideas for a Shazam movie, and they have a star in The Rock.
Yeah, who they can sell.
Right, exactly.
Just make The Rock Shazam. Just make him both.
That's what I've been saying all this time. That's what I've said this entire time. Like, who do you need for Shazam? You need a guy who's like big and huge and imposing, but also has a lot of charisma because, you know, at his heart he's still a child. And you know, like The Rock has taken tough guy roles, and he's also taken lighthearted roles. Yeah. Like, what am I thinking? Tooth Fairy. Wasn't he the Tooth Fairy or something like that? Yeah.
I mean, and it just makes sense for the mythology as well. I mean, when you say the magic word, you turn into this you know, huge he's buff like guy.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Why not just have him play both roles?
Yeah. And Shazam has always been slightly bigger than Black Adam anyway, I think. At least in my mental image. Are they the same size? I usually think of Black Adam as slightly skinnier.
They're the same size.
Okay. Never mind then. But you could totally cast somebody else as Black Adam, is what I'm saying. Like,
why not? Yeah, why not? Yeah. You know? You can still change things. Yeah. It's still pre-production.
And yeah, like The Rock could pull off more of an Egyptian look, but he can also pull off a Greek look. I mean, the guy was Hercules, you know?
Well, this whole thing, yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, this whole thing kind of, when I first heard about it, I did get like flashbacks to like the Scorpion King. It's like, oh, the villain is getting his own film, you know? Yeah. Yeah.
So I saw on a message board someone say, like, it'll make sense to have a Black Adam movie first since he received the power of Shazam first.
So it's like a prequel?
Yeah. But I was like, yeah, but like in the MCU, the Red Skull took Erskine's formula first before Steve Rogers did. Like, did we need a Red Skull prequel movie? No one's asking for like these solo villain movies.
I don't want a Black Adam film. I want Black Adam's story to be intertwined with Shazam's. Yeah. He doesn't need his own film.
Get your shit together, DC.
I'm sad. Like I'm sad. It makes me sad.
You know, Jeff Johns hasn't commented on this though. I noticed. It seems I don't know how many.
He hasn't commented on Gotham City Sirens either, I don't think.
I see like a lot of people, just like a lot of Warner Brothers people, like making all these claims and everything like that. And I'm wondering how much of it is actually going to come to pass. Because it's not like they're in charge anymore. It's Jeff Johns who gets to make all these decisions. Thank God.
I mean, does he? I mean, he's going back to writing comics, you know? So that's not a good sign.
This sucks.
Or a comic. I don't know. He's going back to writing a rebirth.
What's your general overall outlook on the whole DC cinematic universe as it currently exists, and with the upcoming slate, like, and all the news?
You know, I'm just looking forward to Justice League. I'm not sure about anything after that.
You figure as long as you get a Justice League film, you can die happy?
Well, it's never going to be the full Justice League because it won't have Green Lantern in it. Maybe. He may have like some kind of cameo or whatever, but I don't know. I don't have put much stock in any news related to any film past Justice League.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
I really, what I don't want to have happen is like have us go like another 2 years without having another DC film because, Warner Brothers can't decide what to do with their universe.
Yeah.
That happened after Man of Steel. So after Justice League, we have all these release dates, but I mean, if everything is going the way of the Flash, one film I am optimistic about is Aquaman. That comes after Justice League. I think that's in good hands with James Wan. And they had their first table reading session, I guess, like this past week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
So they released a photo from that. So that's on track. So that's good.
Hopefully Wonder Woman is amazing. Hopefully Justice League is amazing. Hopefully Aquaman is amazing. And it can really, roll this shit pile along.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, like, I'm not, like, I'm saddened by this news, but I still have hope. There's still hope. You take a look at films like World War Z or something like that.
Yeah.
You say naive.
I liked World War Z.
Rewrites and stuff like that, and you can still put together a
reshoots,
good, solid film.
Well, same thing with Rogue One. They had extensive reshoots.
Oh my gosh, I saw that recently. I saw that like way after everyone else.
Yeah.
And I felt like that's what Suicide Squad should have been.
Yeah.
That film.
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
That was a great film. It was way better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. So, all right. One last note. I hope everything doesn't finally get rolling along after superhero fatigue sets in. Superhero movie fatigue sets in.
Yeah.
I hope that if that ever happens, if we ever stop seeing diminishing returns at the box office for these superhero films, that Marvel and DC just move everything to television. To move it, like, DC really needs to have a show on HBO by now, because Warner Brothers owns HBO, so what the hell?
Yeah.
And Marvel just needs to continue with the Netflix shows. I hope that if they ever start making movies, just continue in this long form content where it's like a Captain America show, but you can have like guest stars from like the other heroes on his show and everything like that. That's the best way to do this long form content, in my opinion. But
I think if people stop introducing characters in the right way, which Marvel is doing it in the right way, I don't know about DC, then I think it'll kind of stave off fatigue.
Yeah.
Just because the more like hero's journey kind of stories that we get, those are timeless stories,
what about Doctor Strange?
That's an origin story. That's what I'm talking about. Keep making films like that. Keep introducing these new characters, in these like new interesting ways.
I think you need to do different genres almost.
Well, yeah.
So anyway, I was trying to segue with the whole television thing into the Inhumans news.
Sorry.
So this won't be as nearly as clean as I planned. But the next news is that Marvel has tapped feature film director, I think it's pronounced Roel Reine, for the IMAX first 2 episodes of the Inhumans. So I looked up this guy's IMDb page, and it seems like he's directed a lot of like direct-to-DVD intense action films. Like he did Death Race 2 and Death Race 3.
And Death Race 4.
Hard Target 2.
Hard Target.
Death Race Inferno. The Scorpion King 3. So, like, Marine 2. Like, all these, like, kind of like shitty bargain bin action films.
Yeah.
But if they keep... I don't know. I haven't seen any of those films, but they look kind of flashy. Like, I have to assume that if they keep letting him make them, that he might be doing a good job on them, and he may be ready to take on more serious fare. That being said, I never thought of the Inhumans in like the trashy B action movie style. Like they've always been like a more cerebral group of comics of characters, and like a more intellectual comic. So the fact that you have this guy directing, I don't know. Like, either there's going to be a lot more action in this series than I thought there was going to be, or the guy can actually do other things.
I mean, when it comes to Marvel properties, I feel like the directors don't really matter as much. I think the studio is like the head honcho.
Yeah.
So I think the director there is just to make sure everything goes smoothly.
I would agree with that because we saw very little of Scott Derrickson's work in the Doctor Strange film, I think.
I agree.
So and the same might be said for Peyton Reed and stuff. So you might be right there.
I think ultimately Marvel has a plan, and they kind of like, I don't want to say use directors, but they kind of do, just to get the product out.
Yeah, they're just pieces of the machine. They're not really like.
They're all like they're all like television directors. I mean, they all need to fit within a mold that's been set.
Okay.
I'm talking about like the cinematic universe, and not that this is the cinematic universe, but it's still, again, part of the Marvel machine.
Yeah,
like you said.
Yeah, I was getting a little nervous.
It's really close.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Like this IMAX film and the television series is supposed to debut on is supposed to debut, I think, in IMAX on September 1st-ish, around early September, and we hadn't received any news. So I was really glad to receive this news that we have a director. And Real News Hawaii confirmed that the Inhumans is going to be shooting in Hawaii from March to June. So June gives them 3 months before the premiere, but seems pretty standard for television shoots.
Which is really interesting. I wonder why movie shoots are so much longer. It might just be like the number of locations that they shoot in. Maybe Hawaii is an interesting location because there's some like volcanic areas that are definitely very kind of otherworldly.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're shooting at night on like a lava surface, the Inhumans base is like based on the moon, right?
It's been based on 3 different areas. So one of their bases, and I don't know how you pronounce it. I always call it Attilan, but other people call it Adelan.
I like Attilan more.
Attilan, I like Attilan more too. I don't know if it sounds like Attila the Hun or something. But so Attilan has been in the ocean, in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Mm-hmm. It's been in the Himalayas, and it's been on the blue side of the moon. So for whichever one Hawaii might double for, I'm thinking it's going to be the middle of the ocean. I think.
Maybe.
But they have mountains there, too, in Hawaii that, might be able to get a Himalayan vibe. Okay,
or maybe it's a Cree world.
I don't think
I don't know.
Do they... All right, this may be a dumb question. It's a geographic question. Do they have snow in the Hawaiian Mountains?
I believe they do.
Some of the taller ones?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so yeah. I don't know if they'll hike up there, but you never know. But it's just good to see that they're going to be shooting. That it seems like the shoot is on schedule for their release of later this fall. So I'm just glad it's happening because I was nervous there for a second. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm just like dumbfounded like how quick a turnaround that is. It's like if you could create a feature length, pilot, like a 2-hour pilot essentially, a 2-hour film in that short amount of time. You could do The Flash that soon. It gives me hope.
Gives me hope. All right, so I think we're on to the Suicide Squad note by David Ayer.
Yeah. So it was kind of interesting how it turned out. There was basically this Twitter user named Jody Penn's fanboy, who basically said like, oh, Suicide Squad is a masterpiece. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. He said that to David Ayer. And I kind of feel like, I feel
like Jody's full of shit.
But also like David Ayer has been wanting to say something for a while. And he was just kind of like waiting for anyone's like reaction to say what he's been wanting to say. Uh-huh. You mentioned like when we talked about it earlier, you said it was a telltale heart thing.
Yeah.
It's just like his conscience has been getting to him.
Yeah.
And so he kind of like, he wrote a long note basically explaining like, he knows that the film gets a lot of hate and that If he could go back and do things differently, he absolutely would. He mentions that he would like make the Joker the main villain, and create a more grounded story. Which this whole note I thought was really humble. I think it's going to go a long way in
establishing goodwill for Suicide Squad 2
or Gotham City Sirens.
Yeah,
specifically that. Because I know a lot of people weren't happy about that, but the fact that he's willing to put himself out there and almost apologize, and say like he's learning from his mistakes and show like what he would do differently, which it's endearing. I've never seen a filmmaker do this before.
Yeah, I don't think I have either. Interesting.
And it really paints him, I think, in a good light. It's good damage control.
See, I don't know, but like for me, like when the film first came out, he was kind of defensive of it, and he was touting how amazing it was and everything like that, and fuck Marvel, and we made an awesome film. And now he's like, oh yeah, it's kind of a shit film, but I'm learning. So it seems kind of disingenuous, I think. I don't know.
He seems like a pretty genuine guy.
It's not as
like the whole fuck Marvel thing. That was, he was just getting caught up in the crowd because the crowd started chanting that. So
well, the crowd was stupid. They hadn't even seen the film by that point, and
the trailers were fantastic.
The trailers were fantastic, yeah. So I don't know. I hopefully I just want the directors to like make good films without apologizing for making bad ones. Like we also got like a somewhat of an apology from Zack Snyder, or not an apology, but like excuses, like rationalizations on like why he made the choices that he did and things like that, and disagreements with like the critics and stuff like that. I just want them to make better choices the first time without having to do stuff like this.
It's true. I mean, there is kind of a class to just like owning your work and not having to take ownership, take responsibility for it.
But I think I respect him a little bit less now. I think my respect for him was a little bit higher when he just accepted what the movie was. I don't know.
I don't know.
Because like we always assumed that the studio fucked this movie up, Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
But then like you get the extended cut and you see some of the extra scenes in there, and it wasn't entirely the studio's fault. Some of it was David Ayer's fault. Like he just didn't put together the best movie that he should have.
Yeah, it was too fast to turn around, I think.
Yeah. In
the writing room.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say this makes me respect him less. I do think it's endearing, to an extent.
You're like a battered wife.
Fuck you.
We'll see how he does. I'm like, he'll endear himself to me when he makes a good film.
True.
True.
I can see that. Yeah.
All right. I think that does it for all the news for this episode.
I'm like really depressed.
Was it like a depressing
news?
Yeah. This is, the Flash news and the Suicide Squad
Shazam
letter.
news. I need something good. Give me something good, DC. Give me the Justice League trailer.
I have a news update for you. Warner Brothers won't be putting any DC spots in front of the Super Bowl.
I'm going to cut you.
All right, and with that, let's get on to the Battlecast.
It's time for a Battlecast. Marvel versus DC. Let's begin.
All right, welcome back. It's time for the Battlecast portion. This episode, we are pitting, once again, X-23 versus Cassandra Cain, a.k.a. Batgirl, a.k.a. Black Bat, and Black Bat, a.k.a. Orphan. I'm not sure what I'm going to call it.
X-23 is a.k.a. Laura Kinney, a.k.a. Wolverine.
I'm just going to go with Cassandra Cain for this one.
I'm going to call her X-23 because I don't want any confusion between like, because eventually we're going to do a Battlecast that involves Wolverine. I just don't want any confusion. So we'll call her X-23 for the purposes of this podcast, even though she's the current Wolverine.
Right. So if this is your first time listening to us, the way these Battlecasts work is we were essentially inspired by this old TV show that used to be on Spike TV called The Deadliest Warrior, where they would take two like historical culture warriors and pit them against each other. They would compile stats for each one.
Yeah, and we get our stats from the official Marvel power rankings grid.
Yeah.
And we use those to extrapolate the DC stats, basically.
Yeah. And then they would use those stats to run 1,000 simulations. So not one warrior would win 100% of the time. But whoever took the higher number, whoever had that higher, I guess, percentage of wins, claimed the victory. So that's what we do here.
Yeah.
We do it's the same exact thing.
Yeah, it's the Monte Carlo method. We set up a standard deviation among those statistics and then use those to run the simulation. So
Right.
So yeah, let's get into it. Let's hear about.
Let's start with Cassandra Cain.
Yeah, let's start with Cassandra Cain.
Okay. So Cassandra Cain. I think when most fans think of Cassandra Cain, they picture Batgirl. She took up the mantle from Barbara Gordon during the No Man's Land storyline in the late 90s when Gotham City was hit by this massive earthquake and becomes the sort of like feudal villain state. Really good story.
Yeah.
She helped the Bat family out during that time, and mostly thanks to her martial arts abilities. Cassie may be like the greatest martial artist in the DC Comics universe.
Well, she was trained by the best, right?
Yeah, she's the daughter of David Cain, who is a member of the League of Assassins, and she's the daughter of Lady Shiva, who herself is a master of all forms of martial arts, like known and like unknown,
according to Batman, right? Or
Yeah.
Just, okay.
Yeah. Like out of anyone who knows like all the martial arts forms, like she even knows more than Batman. Cain, he trapped and forced Lady Shiva to give him a child with the intention of raising this child into a perfect bodyguard for Ra's al Ghul, the leader of the League of Assassins. Ra's al Ghul? Ra's al Ghul. I'm going to say Ra's al Ghul. Cain, he isolated Cassie from birth in silence and never allowed her to experience any form of verbal or written communication. He never spoke to her. So her only language became body language. And as a child, she became so proficient in reading body language, like every subtle shift and twitch that like us would seem non-existent, that she was able to predict people's actions. She trained like under all the masters in the League of Assassins, including Merlin and Bronze Tiger, who I believe has defeated Batman before. So like when most kids were learning the alphabet, she was already capable of easily, silently incapacitating rooms of soldiers. So at age 8, she was given her first assassination job. She was ordered to take out a businessman. And she did it. She killed him. But as he died, just by watching him, she was able to recognize and feel the pain of his death. So she ran away from the League and vowed never to kill again. She didn't resurface until like years later. She resurfaced in Gotham City, and she became like this street agent for Oracle, who is Batgirl, Barbara Gordon, the former Batgirl.
Barbara Gordon like recruited her. She like found her. Or?
Yeah, on the streets. Yeah,
Okay.
she was just an orphan kid.
Yeah.
Since Barbara Gordon was paralyzed and retired from the mantle of Batgirl, that moniker was given to Cassie during No Man's Land with Oracle and Batman's blessing. She has this cool costume where it's like all black, and even the entire face mask, like it doesn't have like a slot for her mouth. It's just like stitched over.
It kind of reminds me of the Catwoman costume from Batman Returns. That kind of stitching.
In a way, I think it's supposed to be kind of like make her look less than human. Like she doesn't need to communicate with her mouth, so she doesn't need that opening. I guess, I don't know. It's pretty cool looking though. It's a good look. Initially, she wasn't capable of recognizing speech. She communicated with Oracle and Batman through like gestures and drawings. After No Man's Land, when she was patrolling and protecting Gotham, she encountered this metahuman who like mistakenly rewired her brain, which allowed her to understand words, but also made her lose her ability to read people's bodies. And I actually have that. It was in Batgirl #1. She got her own series. She became pretty much like useless because of that. But she learned that Lady Shiva, whom at the time she didn't know was her mother, also had the ability to read people's bodies. So Cassie tracked her down, and Shiva agreed to train her on the condition that, like, in 1 year after the training, they would meet and fight to the death. So Cassie agreed and regained her ability to read bodies under the tutelage of Lady Shiva. But when they met again in a year, Lady Shiva, like, killed Cassie within minutes. It was, like, really easily.
Huh.
But only to jumpstart Cassie back to life shortly after. Huh. They did have a rematch later, and in that fight, Cassie did win, but refused to deal a death blow.
Yeah.
So, like, after a steady career in superheroics, and, like, even having the honor of becoming a part of, like, this metahuman takedown task force called the Justice League Elite, even though she herself is not a metahuman, she developed, enough detective skills to eventually realize that Shiva is her mother. And at this time, Shiva was the new leader of the League of Assassins. So when Cassie tracked her down, Ra's al Ghul's daughter Nyssa proclaimed Cassie to be like this prophetic one who is all, and like the true leader of the League. So, like, at that time, half the members of the League abandoned Shiva to follow Cassie, which like led to this huge underground.
I thought Ra's al Ghul's daughter was Talia.
Yeah, he has two daughters.
Oh, two daughters.
There's Talia and Nyssa. Nyssa actually appears in Arrow, the
okay.
TV show.
Okay. So they all leave Shiva to join Cassie.
Yeah, well, not all of them, half of them.
Oh, okay.
So, like, yeah, that led to a war, and in this war, like, Cassie gets mortally wounded, like, real badly. Mm-hmm. So Shiva revives Cassie in the Lazarus Pit, which makes her, like, slowly start to go insane. Cassie, she decides that she needs to kill her mom in order to stop her from killing others. It's kind of established that Shiva has something of a death wish, and it's implied that the reason she agreed to give birth to Cassie in the first place was to have someone, like, capable of stopping killing her. Mm-hmm. And so the next time they do fight, after she's revived in the Lazarus Pit, Cassie, she doesn't deliver so much as a death blow as she paralyzes her mother and, like, leaves her impaled, hanging over a Lazarus Pit. Really messed up.
Impaled?
Yeah.
Impaled on what?
I think it was a stalactite or a hook or something.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know.
Yeah, a stalagmite.
Something.
Stalagmites grow from the ground. Stalactites hang from the ceiling.
There you go.
Yeah.
Regardless, it was effed up. It was like a lot of fans were pissed off. She became this murderous leader of the League of Assassins for a while. And it was later revealed that some of her villainous actions were, like, also the result of, like, drugging by Deathstroke, who was been, like, manipulating her. But in any case, like, she eventually
just sounds like poor writing.
Yeah, she eventually returned to the side of good and, like, slowly regained the trust of the Bat family and the superhero community, and she was adopted by Bruce Wayne.
Officially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after Bruce Wayne, he had an apparent death in the Final Crisis storyline. She like supposedly became, like, disillusioned and gave up the Batgirl mantle. But really, it turns out it was, like, all part of this, like, should Batman die contingency plan to help create a global team of Batman. And she herself becomes a protector, like a Bat protector of Hong Kong. She goes under the name Black Bat during that time, which a lot of fans are happy about, just to, like, see her, like, inherit this mantle of her own. Mm-hmm. So that was cool. Not too long after this, this is when the DC universe was rebooted with the New 52, and she's, like, only recently resurfaced in this new timeline. She's a young girl again, and she goes by the name Orphan, and she's currently training under Batman and Batwoman.
Who's Batwoman currently?
what is her first name? Her last name is Cain. She's essentially Batman's cousin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. She any
But
relation
on
to
her mom's side. So it's not like a Wayne. What is the powerless guy's name?
Van
again?
Wayne?
It's not like a Van Wayne thing. It was on his mom's side. His mom was her maiden name is Cain.
I just don't like. Well, I don't like Batman having family because why didn't the family raise him after his parents did?
Well, her father was in the military, and she traveled with him. Okay. So I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Any relation to David Cain?
No, it's spelled differently.
Okay.
David Cain, Batgirl's father. No.
Yeah. Okay.
No. Anyway, so Cassie has all the gadgets and gizmos of your typical Bat operative, like grappling hooks, batarangs, smoke pellets, explosives. Mm-hmm. She doesn't really use them, though.
No.
Because her real talent is in her body reading, which is it's effective enough to allow her to dodge bullets. So, even though she's not explicitly a metahuman, she's capable of performing these superhuman feats thanks to her uncanny mental and physical coordination.
Well, she's not faster than a bullet, but she can see where the bullet's being shot, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Daredevil.
Okay.
He knows when they're going to pull the trigger. He knows where they're aiming. Yeah. And he's fast enough and mentally competent enough to not be in that path. Uh-huh. And she's really, really effective too in her movement. So I remember this series of panels where she just moved just enough to dodge the bullets. It was to see her in action is to see just this beautiful.
Stop using the word beautiful.
Shut up. This just really effective body movement.
Okay.
And in Batman's own words, she'll out of him and Nightwing and Robin, she'll probably be the most capable crime fighter in all of the Bat family, even outshining him in the long run. So that's Cassie.
Cool. Sounds okay, I guess.
Sounds badass.
Actually, no, it's remarkably similar to X-23's origin. So
similar enough that you consider X-23 a ripoff?
No.
Yes.
No. When did she came out in the mid 90s, right?
Late 90s. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Okay. So X-23. Now I actually remember seeing her on the X-Men Evolution cartoon back when we were teens. And it wasn't until I was reading about her later that I learned that was her first appearance ever on that show, and she was subsequently later brought into the comics.
Yeah, she's like Harley Quinn in that way.
Yeah. I remember my first impression of the character was why do we need another Wolverine? Because as you know, I'm personally averse to what I call copycat heroes. Mm-hmm. But she's actually a great character with a rich, tragic backstory that I think rivals Wolverine's. So let's get into her history. The Weapon X experiment that bonded adamantium to Wolverine's bones has always been one of the Weapon Plus program's greatest achievements. So in an attempt to recreate that success, there was a top secret program called the Facility that was dedicated to cloning Wolverine. And they end up obtaining a genetic sample of Wolverine, but in it, the Y chromosome is damaged. And of course, you need a Y chromosome to make a male.
Right.
Because males have both Y and X chromosomes, and females have two X chromosomes. So after 22 attempts to repair the Y chromosome, a genetic scientist named Sarah Kinney decides, I'm just going to make the clone a female. So she produces Experiment 23, X-23, who is a viable cloned embryo whom Sarah Kinney herself carries to term as its surrogate mother. Now, the child is trained from the beginning to be the deadliest of weapons, and Sarah always knew this was the Facility's program's purpose, but she comes to love X-23 as her own daughter, and tries to instill some humanity in her. But the amount of training and torture that X-23 undergoes is just too much, and the child is raised to be an emotionally stunted killer. The program conditions her to be an expert fighter, and they develop a trigger scent that sends her into a berserker killing frenzy as she smells it.
Oh, what's the scent?
I don't know what it smells like. But she smells it. She just goes crazy.
It's grape flavor.
One of the heads of the project, named Xander Rice, and Xander Rice will be in the Logan film, I think, as the primary antagonist.
That's right. I forget what the actor who's playing him.
Yeah, I forgot his name too.
He's the Dracula looking.
Yeah,
actor.
we thought he was going to be Mr. Sinister, but it's actually it's Xander Rice. So Xander Rice grows impatient, waiting for the child's mutation to activate. So he subjects X-23 to radiation poisoning at the age of 7 in an attempt to awaken it. It works, and she develops a healing factor that saves her life. And she grows 2 claws on each hand and a claw on each foot. Xander forcibly extracts her bone claws and coats them with adamantium and puts them back in. Xander later uses the trigger scent to have X-23 kill her own sensei, who is one of the only people that had ever treated her with kindness. And X-23 is then trained by a woman named Kimura, who has impenetrable skin and who is pretty harsh and torturous in her training. X-23 begins her first killing missions at the age of 10, so I guess 2 years after Cassandra.
Yep.
Xander sells her services to the highest bidder and sends her traveling around the world killing political leaders and crime bosses and stuff. Eventually, Sarah Kinney, her surrogate mom, decides she's going to put a stop to the program and flee the facility with X-23. So she sends X-23 to kill Xander Rice in an attempt to end his experiments. And X-23 is successful. But upon her return, it turns out Xander Rice secretly exposed Sarah to the trigger scent, and X-23 ends up killing her own surrogate mom. I guess matricide is a theme between these two characters.
Cassie killed her father as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, it was in an accident. She tried to save him, but...
Oh. So as Sarah lays dying, she reveals that when X-23 was born, she named her Laura. So X-23 learns that her real name is Laura Kinney. So she escapes and she travels to San Francisco in an attempt to live a normal life with some of Sarah's family. But agents from the facility, led by her old trainer Kimura, hunt Laura down and try to get her to kill the family she's staying with. But she ends up saving the family and flees to try and find Wolverine. She tracks him down.
Does she know that she's a clone?
Yes, she does. Yes. She tracks him to Xavier's mansion and actually defeats him in a fight. Wolverine reveals that he's known about her after receiving a letter from Sarah Kinney before her death. But right after that, at the mansion, she's arrested by S.H.I.E.L.D., who's aware of her past as an assassin. But Captain America lets her go after realizing that S.H.I.E.L.D. will only try and use Laura as a weapon. And she goes into hiding, working as an underage prostitute on the streets of New York.
What?
Yeah. She still feels extreme guilt over the lives she took, like her mother's and her senseis, when subjected to the trigger scent, and she becomes prone to cutting herself in her depressed psychological state, like cutting and then healing and stuff.
It's messed up.
Yeah, it's dark. But eventually the X-Men find her, and she enrolls in the Xavier Institute. Due to her stunted personality and violent past, the other students don't really trust her, and she's an outcast, much like the original Wolverine. But she eventually gains their trust in battle, fighting valiantly against Stryker and the Sentinels. Mm-hmm. She joins the newly Black Ops X-Force team and later the Avengers Academy. She grows very close to Wolverine and comes to view him as a father figure, even though they're more twins than father-daughter type thing. Mm-hmm. After news of his death reaches her, she's extremely distraught and chooses to honor him by taking up his mantle as the all-new Wolverine. So, though most of her past is tragic, she's found some redemption after meeting Logan and joining the X-Men and the Avengers. She has nearly all of Wolverine's powers, except for the adamantium skeleton, but she does have adamantium claws, a powerful healing factor. She has superhuman senses like Wolverine, agility, and stamina, because her body doesn't produce fatigue toxins.
Right. Does she age?
Like the lactic acid. She ages really slowly. So, in addition, she was trained from birth in covert operations, martial arts, and strategic planning. So she's better at that stuff than Logan. And she was kind of like the Batman of the X-Force team. Like there was a scene where they were all trapped, and they were saved because she like prep time. Like she set up like explosives all over the facility without telling anybody. So, a really smart strategic thinker. So that's pretty much her.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But not really. Not as interesting as Cassie.
They're fairly similar, right?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, this is an interesting matchup. Now,
I'm not surprised at all that X-23 is as similar to Cassie as that. I think Cassie, she became really popular just like X-23 when she first came out, and I think, I don't know, she just like hits this archetype that was, I don't know, like missing or something like that.
Yeah.
Just like this, like innocence kind of lost kind of thing, and just a really badass female character.
Yeah, a young badass female character. There aren't too many of those. And by badass, I also mean like lethal,
right?
Or like scary,
yeah.
like a scary little girl, but one who's on your side.
It's like Hit Girl in Kick-Ass.
Yes,
like she just can't. Yeah. Like you're never afraid for her life because she's just so capable.
Yeah, same archetype.
Yeah.
Sure. That being said, X-23 is better. I don't know if I call her X-23 or X-23. I'm just gonna call her Laura.
Okay.
I guess. You're calling her Cassie.
Yeah.
All right. So the way we usually start off these matchups is we assume that they're meeting up. They know that they have to fight each other. They're about medium range distance apart when they start off the fight. We don't take stats for environment when we run the simulations.
It's a variable. Whereas there are other stats like speed and strength and stuff like that. It's not usually a variable.
Right.
It usually starts off pretty consistent.
Yeah.
When you factor in an environment, there are too many characters who could like take advantage of that. So you may have one character win in one environment but lose in another. So to remove that variable, we just don't record any stats for environment.
Right. So we assume that they're fighting in neutral non-environment.
Right.
Like you can imagine like an empty warehouse or something if you want, but the environment doesn't really play a factor. No. So medium range. Now I'm pretty confident in this one just because although Cassie can read X-23's movements, I don't think that... Honestly, I don't think Laura... I don't know what I'm calling her. I don't think X-23 will be able to actually land a blow on Cassie for quite some time.
No.
But eventually she's going to tire out.
Oh, you're playing the long game.
I'm playing the long game here. X-23 can outlast Cassie.
Well, I mean, okay, so the thing is, Batgirl has some medium range advantages.
Okay.
So if they're starting off in medium range...
Okay, how does it start?
Batgirl starts this match.
Okay, that makes sense.
I think, like most good assassins and most, ninjas, if the environment is not taken into account, I'm going to have her sort of create an environment in this neutral environment to her that's to her advantage.
Are you talking about smoke screen?
Smoke screen, yeah, and not just a smoke screen, but like, I know Laura also has heightened senses,
right?
So, tear gas. So, I'm starting off winning.
Okay, poisons don't affect...
Well, tear gas isn't a poison.
Well, what is it?
It affects your senses. It assaults your senses.
I guess so.
Yes. Yep.
I don't know what tear gas is. I don't know the chemical makeup.
No, but it doesn't...
Well, okay, so if there's no environment, there's no place to contain the gas. It's going to disperse eventually.
Eventually, but not for a while. And you could bet...
Does Cassie know that... But Cassie won't know that X-23 has heightened senses.
No.
So she's probably going to throw the smoke screen to disguise herself, but I don't know if she'll throw the tear gas.
I'm saying she's throwing the tear gas right away.
Dumb. Okay.
And then it's just a matter of sneaking in there, stealthily and snapping X-23's neck. Done. Game over.
No, because I do think that even through the tear gas or the smoke screen or whatever she's throwing around, I think the heightened senses will help her recognize exactly when she's too close. And she's a good enough fighter, and she's agile and quick enough to avoid a neck snapping at close range.
Let me ask you this. Can Wolverine sense if Black Panther is stalking him?
I don't know. Probably.
Nope.
They'd probably both be able to sense. Like, it's really hard to stalk Wolverine or X-23 or Black Panther or somebody with heightened senses like that.
Even when your senses are being assaulted.
Right, yeah, exactly. Even that. Because she has other senses. She has acute hearing. Like, gas isn't going to hurt her hearing. She can still hear her.
Mm-hmm.
So she would have to throw down, like, tear gas and like sonic things or whatever. But I don't think she knows that X-23 has heightened senses. So here's the thing, like, as soon as Cassie gets too close to X-23, she's dead.
No, because she could see her swinging. X-23, even if Cassie isn't close, X-23 is not going to be able to touch her.
So Cassie goes in to neck snap or whatever
she closes the gap.
But X-23 senses her, and that's when she unsheaths her claws and swipes at her. So now Cassie knows that she has claws and she can't get too close. Mm-hmm. What's Cassie's strategy then?
She pulls out like a what is it called?
I know X-23 is probably going to go for like on the offensive, like running at her and swiping and keep swiping.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, getting in close, it's sort of what Cassie wants too. I mean, in a way, she doesn't mind it. You know, she's happy to just dodge the attacks, and you know, she could easily just like as X-23 goes into swipe, Cassie could just break her arm. You know.
Yeah, and then she could use her other arm to stab her. Like, breaking X-23's arm, like, X-23 could heal from that. I mean...
Now if she breaks it, like, in 3 places. I mean, she's going to heal from it, but not right away.
Okay, I still... Like, I don't... Okay, so she probably reaches out to her, and then Cassie, like, breaks her arm.
In 3 different places.
To, like, try to... I don't know, like... disarm her. In a sense. Yeah. But like X-23 has had her arm severed off, and she's come back from that.
She just regrew a new arm?
She regrew a new arm, and what's his name? Doctor can't remember his name. Put her claws back in. So she has lost an arm before, but like Cassie's not going to chop her arm off. So yeah, she has, it's a powerful healing factor. So while she may be able to break one of her arms, it's not going to happen again, and it's not going to be a permanent damage.
It can happen again. It's not going to be permanent.
It's not going to happen. X-23 is too good of a fighter to let it happen again. Like, yeah, Cassie may be the best, but X-23 is the second best.
No, she's not.
Yeah, she's up there.
X-23 is not the second best fighter in the Marvel universe.
Look at the power grid. Look at her fighting stats. She was trained from birth. Yeah.
Big whoop. But she wasn't trained by like she wasn't trained by like Captain America and Wolverine and Iron Fist and all these, you know, the best fighters in the Marvel universe.
She's like a slightly not as good fighter than Cassie, but she is far more lethal and much harder to kill than Cassie.
If you could touch Cassie,
eventually it's gonna happen.
You'd think, but before that even gets close to that, because not only Cassie, she's been known to take bullets and not bat an eyelash. If she does get hit, you know, if she gets hit, it's not stopping her.
A bullet is different, sir, than you know getting a limb chopped off or getting impaled in the gut with a foot claw.
I'm bringing up this because of like fatigue. Like she's not going to get fatigued right away. This fight is not.
She will eventually get fatigued.
This fight is not going to get down to fatigue. It's not a long game. They're way too lethal, both of them, for this to be a long match.
The way I see this going is that X-23 is going to stay on the offensive, and Cassie's probably going to be like, oh, she can't do this forever, and then she's going to be like, holy crap, I'm exhausted, and she's still going.
Here's what happens.
Okay.
So, X-23 gets her arm broken in 3 different places. She heals. She keeps attacking Batgirl.
At least with her other
Cassie.
limbs, while the other arm heals.
Yeah. As she's attacking Cassie is able to read her body language and realize that it's healing itself. So she's like, oh crap. So she keeps using incapacitating maneuvers. The next one she uses is a taser button. What is that called? I don't know. It's a button that you put on someone and it tases you.
Oh, like a taser.
Okay. Yes. So X-23 is being electrocuted, and then the second the electrocution stops, Cassie goes in and snaps X-23's neck.
Little does she know, though, that Cassie runs into X-23's claws, impales herself, and dies.
No, she wouldn't. She's aware of her surroundings.
Little does she know that at the very beginning of the match, when she used the tear gas, there was an element in the tear gas that was similar to the trigger scent. And then she just doesn't stand a chance.
Against a berserker rage?
Yeah.
She does.
No, she doesn't.
Sure she does.
Nobody does. Like, it was like X-23 has cleared out like a room full of like dozens of men.
Oh,
all
like
with
Cassie
guns.
has no experience doing that without a berserker rage.
In the light, in daylight, in the lit room.
Yeah. In a lit room with a knife in the middle
close
of the floor.
quarters, not like enough room to like jump around and stuff.
Cassie always has enough room to jump around.
No. Oh, I'm talking about like a room as small as this, with like a dozen men.
The listeners
with
like,
guns.
How big is the room?
It's about a bedroom size.
Nah, I don't even remember what you were talking about.
I don't remember what I was talking about either. Is it time to go to the stats then? Since I think this is a long game. You think Cassie will be able to get in there before it gets that long?
Yeah, I mean, X-23 is she's kind of one note. I mean, she can't heal from death. You know, she gets her neck twisted off. She's not healing from that, and Cassie could do that easily.
X-23 can also, or Cassie can also die easily from getting stabbed in the chest.
Yeah, but she goes up against people with swords all the time. Leagues.
These aren't just normal
swords.
swords. These are adamantium swords that are connected to her body that she can't disarm.
Oh, you mean like a sword on a handle that's in your hand that's longer?
This isn't something that you could drop, though. She can't force a drop.
No.
And it's on her foot, too. She doesn't know that the foot claw's there, and next thing you know, she gets a claw right in the back.
Bronze Tiger has claws.
Big deal.
He trained her.
Cassie doesn't know about all of X-23's claws. Eventually, she's going to get surprised.
Oh, you mean by like the foot one?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Maybe surprised by that.
Yeah.
But even then, like, it has to be a kill shot. And the fact...
It will be.
The odds that it's going to be are
very high because getting stabbed is fucking lethal.
Well, no, because
where can't she get stabbed?
Cassie could just be like, her foot like looks like it's heavier than usual, so like she could like reach her foot out and then like at the last second shink unleash her blade, but Cassie's gonna be ready for it because she knew something was up.
Cassie's gonna get stabbed in the arm or body or somewhere, and it's gonna immediately have an effect on her performance.
No, not as much as you think.
When you're bleeding out, yeah, eventually it's gonna have an effect on your performance.
But not as much as you think.
Does she have
not
any
for
type
Cassie.
of healing kit or something like that?
She has a full utility belt.
Okay. Well, let's take it to the stats.
All right.
All right.
That is the sound of Batgirl with her own like batarang claws swiping at
And getting him chopped in half.
by X-23's claws.
Yeah.
Sure. I guess I don't know.
All right. So we.
I was gonna use that. I forgot to use that in the fight. I was like,
Batarang?
she could have claws if she wants to.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Between her knuckles.
I've seen it. I've seen her do it.
Yeah, kind of like a cestus kind of thing. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
It's like brass knuckles, but
like what
with
Moon Knight had.
Yeah, what Moon Knight has.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we ran the stats, and we have the results. The match was fairly close. I think we knew it was going to be like as for as big a game we each talk. We kind of knew that the characters were both pretty similar in ability. So it was a close match. It was definitely closer than the Rocket Raccoon versus Chip the Squirrel match, where Rocket got annihilated. All that was left was roadkill.
It was like 98%.
Yeah, it was insanely ridiculous. So this one was a lot closer. So I'm glad about that. Are you interested in hearing who won?
Nope.
Okay.
Yes.
So after running 1,000 simulations, here are the results of the Cassandra Cain X versus X-23 fight. The winner is Cassandra Cain.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I totally didn't see that coming.
She won 597 matches to X-23's
597, so
403.
So 60% almost?
Yeah, almost 60%. 59.7% of the matches. So looking
I
at the
did
stats,
not see that coming. I totally walked into this expecting to lose.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, so kind of like similar to our Captain Marvel versus Supergirl fight, the ranged projectile weapons make a huge difference. Like Supergirl wasn't able to use anything against Captain Marvel because she would just absorb it, but X-23 can't use any projectiles against Batgirl because she doesn't really have any. She has her claws.
Right.
And Batgirl has a wide variety of things to use against X-23, such as her batarangs.
She has more tools.
And her tranquilizers. Yeah, you kind of started off with her tear gas thing, and I was like, ooh, shit, I did not think about all this. So yeah, basically that's what it came down to. And while X-23 is more durable and she can endure a lot longer, Cassie is the best fighter in the DC universe. She definitely would know how to evade knives. Right. And X-23 is not as durable as Wolverine. Her bones can be broken. So she can be incapacitated a lot easier than Wolverine. Yeah. X-23.
That's what I was going for.
Yeah. So, yeah, you were correct in that regard. And, it was close. It was within, around the 50% mark.
Right.
It was 59.7. So
that is badass.
I don't feel too bad. So,
dude, this totally I don't feel so depressed about this podcast episode anymore.
After all the depressing DC news.
I was like, all that, and then I'm going to lose. This is going to suck.
Yeah. And then Cassie wins. So
sweet. So
congrats, good sir. I guess not really. I hate you.
I'm winning now, I think.
Overall? I think you're winning by 1.
Yeah, but I think this puts me up by 1. Yeah.
But only because the Chip and Rocket fight was not fair.
I wonder if that even counts.
Yeah, you shouldn't even count that. You should feel bad. So that was it for this Battlecast. If you have any comments or questions, or you want to tell us we're dumb, or you want to tell us we're awesome, go ahead and reach out to us on Twitter at DC Marvel Battle. You can reach out to us via email, dcmarvelbattlecast@gmail.com, and let us know what you thought of this match.
Yeah.
Where else can they reach us? I'm trying to think.
Well, like as far as like trivia and stuff like that, Instagram. Go to our Speaking
of trivia, okay, let me go over the question one more time because now we're going to give the hint for that question. So the question was, give the names used by a single character that has existed in both the Marvel and DC universes who went by a different name in each universe. It is the same character written by the same writer that brought the character over from Marvel to DC when he switched companies. And the hint is, so this writer also carried the character over to a third comics company where the character went by the name of Lorelei.
Yeah.
So there's your hint. So this character has had 3 names. One of them is Lorelei. We want you to give us the other 2. Those are the names that the character had in the Marvel and DC universe.
Right.
So submit your answer to us on our Instagram. Search for DC Marvel Battlecast, one word.
Then leave a comment on our podcast cover for this episode.
Yeah, or leave a comment anywhere. We'll find it. The answer must include the name the character went by in the Marvel Universe and the name they went by in the DC Universe.
Yeah.
You could also answer the question on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is at DC Marvel Battle again. And if you get it right, according to the timestamp, if you get it right first, then we will draw up a DC Marvel Battlecast no prize.
Yeah, if you want to see the no prize that Death by Avid, Adam Spees received for getting the last trivia question correctly, that's on our Instagram and our Twitter.
Yep.
So, and which, by the way, don't remember if we mentioned this earlier. Spees, you can't win again this time.
Yeah, if you're listening, Spees, there's like a statute of limitations on when you can win again. Yeah, so we'll let somebody else win.
Yeah, we'll say like if you've received like one in the past,
a no prize
in the past like 3 months, you're not eligible to win another.
3 months?
3 months?
Okay, that's like 6 episodes.
That's plenty of time.
That's plenty of time.
Is that too long? I don't know.
We'll think about it.
3 months.
But definitely not Spees this time. Anyway, all right. That does it for this episode, guys. We'll see you again in 2 weeks. In that episode, we will be reviewing the Lego Batman movie.
Lego Batman, yeah. Sorry to hear.
So, yeah, that'll be exciting. Looking forward to that one. Yeah, it's a kid's movie, but it looks like a lot of fun. So, should be a good time. And I think, hopefully there's some better news that comes our way between
for
that time.
DC. Come on, Warner Brothers.
Yep. All right. We'll see you again in 2 weeks. And until then,
up and away.
true believers.